Indeed, Ibrahim, Dan Amidu, thank you. Once again, just to remind you of our topic, we're looking at this 2024 flood prediction and how far are the states preparing for this prediction and what has been done. Just to also recall that we've had, I think, dedicated 2 episodes of Good Morning Nigeria to this topic, and that, shows you the importance to which we attach this very topic. And again, we have invited, those who should know and those who are managing and implementing, the prediction and the recommendations. We have with us again in our studio here in Abuja, Florence Wenegeme, and she's the Director of Forecasting, Response and Mitigation of the FCT Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, and we're glad to have her once again. Thank you for coming.
Good morning, Claire, and very good morning, Nigerians.
Yes, and we also have joined us from our Dutse studio. If we can have him on the screen, we have Hamza Mohammed Hadejia, who is the Chairman, Flood Mitigation Committee in Jigawa State. We're happy to have you, Hamza. Thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Via Zoom from Bayelsa State by Surveyor Omuso, Director General, Directorate of Flood and Erosion Control. Again, he joins us via Zoom from Yenagoa, Bayelsa State. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Good morning, Nigeria.
Okay, I'd like to start with you, Mr. Omuso, and precisely because of the very strategic location that Bayelsa occupies, and also because recently Bayelsa State had been called upon to, take action, to mitigate impending flood and all that. How far, or what's the state like at this moment in terms of, in terms of flood?
Yeah, thank you very much. That this agency is in place about this time is want to demonstrate the fact that the state is prepared. We have set up a few things in place. Like the capital in Abuja City is run by some canals and creeks. And we have the major rivers, Non and Focados, bifurcations from River Niger itself. So we have already set in place monitoring devices like the gauges that are in the water, at least giving us a development on a daily basis. Then, we have noted that in Abuja City, the canals that are there, they needed to be silted, be cleared, and we are ready, very much ready in getting that thing done. We did it last year, and this year we are also ready to ensuring that those creeks and canals are free of silt. We try to distill them. That is, those are the things that we are to place. And again, when there are certain places where the flood will be that very devastating, like what we experienced in 2012 and 2022, our preparation is to identify places of higher ground that we can easily relocate people to when the flood comes up and very serious.
Let me also let me remain with you, Mr. Omuso, because if you, I know from, I don't know how the state of that area now, because when you come in from Mbiama and you enter into Yenagoa, from Ibogene down to the Federal Medical Center, as if you're going towards Fangbi, the whole of those areas are usually flooded. what's the state now? Have the rain started? Is the place free from flood, or what? What can you tell us? Just paint a picture of what Yenagoa is for us.
The rain has started, but like I earlier pointed out, we have devices named gauges. We have gauges that in place telling us how the water level is rising. And so far for now, because the rain has not become very intense, we have not seen any significant increase in the level of water. And again, like I told you, like last year, we were in the business when the NIMET came up with their predictions. We were there, and what we did was we distilled, because most of the area you have said or you pointed out are places we also intervene, because we put our things on those places and get them cleared. And that's why we did not get so much impact of flood last year. And with the prediction, we are ready now to even go beyond, because our geospatial maps are ready. We see how the movements, that the geospatial map will tell us how the water moves from the north to the south, and what extent it is getting discharged to the ocean. All these things have been mapped out. So we are ready. We are ready.
So, Mr. Muso, let me thank you very much for your opening remarks. And before we come back home to the studio, let's head to Jigawa State, where we have Hamza. Hamza, you are not only a member of the technical committee set up by the state, you are also an advisor to the state governor on flood mitigation. So what's the situation in Jigawa, and what is your advice to the governor? I hope he's taking them.
Good morning. Good morning.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much for having time to discuss with you on the issue of flooding, more especially in Jigawa State. As a chairman, Flood Control Committee, and a special advisor to His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Jigawa State on flood and climate inclusion. Issue to do with flooding is a current event that seriously devastating Jigawa State, causing damages, losses of life, and destroying of farm products, in which in 2022 is the most devastating effect, which resulted to the serious damages of infrastructure in our state. Because of His Excellency political will and the intention and the interest to curb the situation, His Excellency the Executive Governor, Malung Umar A. Namadi FCA, constituted a standing committee, an expert committee, in order to come up with recommendations and solutions on how to minimize the effect of flooding in Jigawa State. The team of experts from various MDS having going around all the critical areas, more especially from the upstream part of the state, starting from the B, that is our border between Kano and the Jigawa. We discovered some challenges which include siltation, diversion, and the infestation of aquatic weeds and the other related water grasses at the downstream part of the state. So the government, having observing these challenges, His Excellency has procured and provided an experienced excavators for us to work tremendously inside the river system to dredge out all the sediment, high deposition, control the diversions of both natural and artificial, and to conduct the control structures along the prone areas to prevent flooding across the state. We have started the river training in order to allow the free flow of the water from upstream to downstream. That river training greatly contributes toward the smooth flow of the water from the upstream to downstream. And we also observe some challenges, more especially during the rain season, at the peak period of rainy season, most of our areas in upland experience flooding. Though the areas are not within the river system, the government of Jigawa State has also designed the strategy on how to prevent such flooding within the upland areas by constructing drainages, culverts, and engaging communities for them to manage and sustain that project to prevent our communities from the hazard or risk of flooding in the upland areas. We also come up with another modalities by engaging community, more especially the water users groups, water managers, conduct sensitization within different communities in order to train them on the best practice for them to provide an emergency measures as part of proactive measures that will prevent further occurrence by using communal work to conduct sandbagging, to protect the areas where in need of interventions, and the government supports these communities with all necessary working materials for them to have the feeling on controlling such incidences when it occurs. In our side also, the government observes the communities or settlements that are within the front areas to see how best we can work tremendously to prevent them from the risks of such flooding, because the flooding causes the submergence and destroying.
Hamza, thank you. Let's just put you on hold for a while. You've actually, told us what your plans are, but we really would want to, first of all, understand, what the situation is at the moment, whether the rains have come, the state of the two rivers, of course, the River Hadejia and Jamari. We want to understand, the present situation there, but that will be when we come back to you. So while you think over, this point, let's come back to the studio here. And Florence, we've decided to keep Florence, because she was here with us during our last conversation. And of course, you told us quite a number of things that, you're doing in the FCT. But let's understand, what's the scenario in terms of, the rains now in Abuja? What are you reading now?
Yes, going by NIMET's predictions, it has been predicted that yesterday, 15th, 16th, and 17th, we are going to have between moderate and heavy downpour in the FCT.
And we did have one this morning.
With rainstorm, which has come to pass. We witnessed that early hours of today. And FCT, Emergency Management Agency, before I came in here, our team are already out.
This morning?
This morning, they have to go around, carry out an assessment. Okay. It's a tradition in the FCT that after every heavy downpour, we go out to carry out assessment.
Which areas have they gone now? Especially
at locations that are very vulnerable. You will recall that we had a problem around Apoduse, behind Cedar Crest Hospital last year. Then another popular place is the Galadima interchange, popularly known as Galadima Roundabout. And then the notorious Dogongada that has been barricaded. We have blocked that road. And then Trademore. So they've gone round those places. And towards Buari axis, they have gone to around Duse Alaji, where we had flooding. However, we removed all the obstructions there.
Just a moment.
Yes.
Because we're still, it's just a few minutes to 8.
Very well.
And we had the rains, early hours of this morning.
Yes.
Are you saying that your men are out there in these areas that you have mentioned.
Very well.
Because we will ask people who live within these locations to either send us text messages or, use our social handles to give us feedback. Tell us if you are seeing any of, your mentors certain.
Yes.
But please go ahead. I just wanted to clear that.
Yes. So we go around after every heavy downpour to know the situation of such locations that are very vulnerable. So that's what we do. If there's anything that needs to be put in place, they will report back and we now send it to the lead agency. If it is something that has to do with the box culvert or block drainages or houses built on waterways, if it is houses built on waterways, we quickly notify development control the situation at that location. And if it has to do with block drainages, Department of Environmental Protection Board will be notified. If it has to do with the manholes or any other thing, Department of Facility Maintenance will be notified. And that is the purpose of the assessment this early morning, which we do after every downpour. If we don't go there, we have our volunteers, disaster marshals, and local divers cut across the 6 area councils that we go out and do that and report back to us.
If you follow what both NIMET, NISA have all said,
Yes.
would you say that apart from this rain of this morning, other predictions that have been made, would you say they have come to pass?
Very well, because you will recall that the predictions of the flood outlook for this year says that FCT is at a moderate flood risk.
Okay.
However, the 4 surrounding states, that is Nasarawa, Kogi, Kaduna, and Niger, they are at the high flood risks.
But FCT is also prone to flash.
That's what I'm
flooding.
saying. That's what I'm saying. That is why all hands are on deck in the FCT. Remember, I said FCT is at a moderate flood risk this year. That was the prediction. But we are trying to put everything in place, which we started in February.
Okay.
Starting in February simply means that after the predictions of Nigerian Hydrological Agency and NIMET, what we did was these predictions served as early tools, early warning tools.
Yeah.
And we used that to go around the 6 area council, all the 6 area councils. We gave them all the warning. We tried to interpret the predictions so that they will understand, because we, the residents of FCT or Nigerians, we are the end users, especially farmers and people who are living on a low plain or places that are vulnerable to flooding. So we use that as, they are early warning tools. That's the flood outlook and the seasonal climate predictions. So in February, you recall that it was predicted that the onset of rains in the FCT is this May.
Okay.
But predictions are predictions. The very day they did that presentation, we had a rainfall in the FCT that February. So that is why they are called predictions. They did not say they are 100%.
Accurate,
So
yeah.
immediately after the predictions, we tried to go out, we went out, carried out sensitization, called for a refresher and review meeting with our local divers, volunteers, vanguards, and disaster marshals to activate them to make sure they are always on standby at their respective locations. That is why we normally call for that refresher meeting. And then we give them tips on new innovations. Maybe if we have new equipment or modern way to carry out rescue operations or evacuations during flooding, flash flooding. Like you said, FCT, we are always witnessing flash flooding. Whether it rains in the FCT or not, there may be flash flooding coming from upstream. So we don't rely on the fact that it's only when it rains in the FCT. No.
Yeah, well, I'm wondering what's in place, because you have admitted that the predictions are early
Yes.
warning tools, right?
Yes.
Now, if they are, what's in place because of what has been warned of, what has been predicted? You've done well in going around to check, but that is reactive. What do you do? What is in place to ensure that you are not taken unawares?
Yes, we have put structures in place. First, vulnerable roads have been barricaded so that people will not be carried out when there's a heavy downpour and we have flash flooding. We have our men on standby. We have roads that are completely barricaded and some are temporarily barricaded. When the rains begins and they are very heavy, the rain is heavy, they quickly lock up. We use padlocks. We have a duty post, like a place like Dogongada. We have a duty post there where our men are stationed alongside with disaster marshals and vanguards and local divers. They are there. They lock, they close the road. Immediately the water level comes down, they will unblock the road so that people can move. Places that are supposed to be completely barricaded, we barricade them completely till after the rains before we unblock them. So far, we have desilted all the manholes, drainages have been cleaned, and it is ongoing because there are times that after desilting, because of the manhole covers that have been stolen, people still dumped refuse indiscriminately. And when they do that, and there's heavy downpour, it sweeps the waste into the manholes or into drainages that are already clean.
Florence, I know you each time you come on this program, you bring out all the things that you have been doing, and you have kept on telling us the structures, and you've mentioned areas that are located within the capital city, which is Abuja. People would expect that with the 2024 flood prediction, your men would have been seen at least outside the capital city, either mobilizing people to, clean the drains, know how to. But I don't think people have seen your men or your team outside of FCT. So would you still say you are taking, precautionary measures? Like he said, all that you have told us are reactive measures.
They are reactive measures because we are yet to put permanent structures in place. And if you are a resident of
I like
FCT,
that. You are yet to put permanent structures.
Yes, we are only putting
that?
temporary mitigative measures. They are working on the permanent structures because these are not structures that can be done within a short period. They are long-term plan.
Like what?
And now, right now, we have projects that are ongoing. You know that the Honorable Minister is somebody we all call Mr. Project. You can see the road network, the drainage system that they are working on, and you can see locations that require river bridges instead of box culvert. They are working on them. If you have gone towards Galadima Interchange, you will see the overhead bridge there that is ongoing.
Galadima is
and there are
within
other
the
ones.
FCT. That's
It's
what I'm
within the
saying.
FCT. If you go like in Kwali Area Council, Kwali Area Council, in fact, I would say we really appreciate the ecological funds. There was a place, they call that place Dogonrua. They have intervened. And along Yaba, in Kwali Area Council too, they have been able to construct the bridge. That took them about 5 years to do it, but the good thing is that it has been completed. And NTA was there. They witnessed it when they went to do the flag off and when they launched it open for vehicular movement. So they did that. And then
NTA covered it because it is a news source. So don't say NTA covered it. Just
No,
as
that's to
NTA
confirm
is
to you.
prudence.
That's the
We covered
confirm
it
to
because
you
it's a news.
that you are likely to have that clip here. Then along Buhari axis, you know, the new road network and the cleaning of the gutters, drainages that they have there. And I told you last time, area councils have now agreed to be carrying out end of month sensitization. That is the last Saturday environmental sanitation and sensitization, because we carry the town criers along. We don't just do that.
Has it started?
They have started in Kwali and Abaji. Buhari, I think Buhari keyed in last month.
And Amak.
And don't forget, Amak, they are riding on the back of FCT administration because they are here. They are in the capital city. We have Department of Environmental Protection Board that go around to clean drainages and evacuate waste. We have facility maintenance that take care of the highways and the manholes. So Amak is riding on their back. That notwithstanding, we were in Amak. We carried out our sensitization in the area council, and the councillor and the secretary, they are living along this Idu Karimu Road down to Day. They are living there, and we told them what we have seen there. We gave them video clips of what is happening at that axis, and they have graciously accepted that they were going to evacuate that place. We will go back there to carry out an assessment to ensure that that has been done. But all the 6 area councils in the FCT, we have inaugurated, it has been in existence, the local emergency committee. Apart from the vanguards, volunteers and disaster marshals that we have put in place already, to tell you that we are not only working in the city capital, we go to the 6 area councils, and the local emergency committee, they are working very hard. They give us reports.
You know why I keep referring to the outskirts? Because
Yes.
During the tenure of the former AMAC chairman.
Okay, Candido.
Yes, I think Candido. I mean, you could see some of his men go to Nyanya, Kubwa, Karushi. You could see them
Yes.
mobilizing people and clearing the refuse and, clearing the gutters and the drainage,
Very well.
even in preparation for the rainy season. I mean, you could see them,
Yes.
working there. But we haven't seen, such activity, even
Except there's an alternative plan.
Except there's an exactly.
No.
So
They are. It depends on the area you have gone to in Amak. To be candid with you, the secretary himself
because we're
is
just
the chairman,
concentrating on
the
areas
vice chairman.
where the rich men live.
No. They don't. No, they don't do that. That's not true. That's not true. Let me tell you, the truth is that places like Asokoro, Maitama, and other places, before we even get there, most of them have hired people to clean their drainages. So Amak, they send people to Nyanya, Karshi.
Kubwa.
Don't forget, Kubwa is under Buhari Area Council, and they are also working. Don't forget that Karshi, that's where we have the Department of Satellite Town Development. So the head of Satellite Town, the coordinator of Satellite Town Development, the director, they all go there. Some of them live in town and go there. So they see all these things, and immediately they call them to order. And all the area councils, they have the works department, they have environmental, they have health, they have the national orientation there, and they have the local emergency committees put in place.
There is a drainage that is totally blocked. If you're just before you get to the Kurudu
Junction?
Just before you get to the market,
Okay.
there's a drainage by a petrol station there. It's a very big drainage. I mean, that drainage can take, but that drainage is perpetually blocked. The refuse, in fact, you won't even recognize that it's a drainage.
Let me tell you,
Have you been there lately?
immediately we go there, we go around.
I think you should go there after the program.
We will go again. But the truth is that immediately you finish evacuating, they go out midnight or early hours of the morning and dump the refuse.
And
there.
that's why awareness should
So
go along
we
with
have
what we are
been
doing.
carrying out sensitization. Sensitization in the FCT is round the clock throughout the year.
Okay, let's
That is what
let's
we
allow
do,
you
and we
to.
carry town criers along. In a situation where you use town criers in all the 6 area councils, what do you expect?
Florence,
The
all right.
sensitization
Florence,
is done
sip
in
your
the
water.
palace.
Sip your
at
water.
the palace of the traditional rulers.
Let's give you a
Sip
brief
your water. Let's bring
and
the-
go to Bayelsa
Yes,
again.
exactly. All right.
Let's go to
Omuso.
Bayelsa where
Yes.
Mr. Muso is seated.
Yes,
And
just-
he's talked about earlier some of the things that the state is planning to do, like identifying places where they could move people to when the floods eventually come. But I just wanted to say, because Bayelsa has a lot of water, where is this place, or where are these places that you have identified to take people up, and are they not already built up?
Identified places to be worked upon, and work is going on right now in all the local governments, because the experience previously we have been having in 2012, 2022 is to move people from their locality to Yenagua City. This is what the experience we've been having. But to really stop that kind of thing happening, we have been able to identify places in all local governments, and work is already ongoing, and government will in this season, I think we take care of a lot of that problem of serious emergency flood that really will overwhelm. And the flash flood, I think we are talking about here in Agua. In last year, we were alone. Hello? Are you hearing me?
Yes, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, in the cities, city like in Agua, like I pointed out, we identified that this in the creeks and channels that really abound within Yenagua should be opened up, to be desilted regularly, not one we have to do once and we stop, because the grasses will grow and will impede the movement of water. The water rainwater that is coming, that is causing the flash flood, has to be removed. And if these channels that have been provided by God are not open, then have a problem, because it will swell, and then what you see is flood. And what we as a body we are doing is to ensure that these places are open. Regularly. In fact, they are open at least 3 times a year. We want to ensure that happens. To ensure that there's no flash flood that will come and disturb Yenagua City. And like the lady earlier, she mentioned from Imbiama to that is a PA Creek. We are planning to have that place dredged, so that water that is the upstream side to the downstream, so that the water will be evacuated to the sea. Because the rainwater or the rivers flow from the north to the south. So, and we've been able to map out the spatial map already. And in fact, areas where these waters are also blocked. Hello?
We can hear you, Mr. Muso, we can hear you. Mr. Musa, we can hear you, but also thank you for the points that you have also raised. I know that last year, Bayelsa, of course, experienced a very devastating flood. In fact, some, say it was even more devastating than what was experienced in 2012. And it prompted the Bayelsa state governor to even, advocate for a national emergency, to be called, emergency on flooding to be called by the federal government. Now, there are quite a lot of, you have many areas in Bayelsa that are flood prone, right from OD to Kolo Creek, down to Kayama. All those areas are flood prone areas. So the measures that you are speaking of, or that you have told us, are they in force, or these are measures, projected measures that you hope to activate?
Because what is really causing this, like the places you have mentioned, siltation is one of the major things. Once a river silts, then the discharge capacity of the river is reduced, leading to water coming because it's not being removed as one due. There will be swelling. It will swell and then maybe overflow, and that comes to causing the cascading effect of a flood in some of the communities that are on those river banks. So we are carrying out like a discharge measurement to know exactly whether the river is actually discharging properly, because every river has its discharge capacity, the capacity to remove water, and if the rivers are not being able to remove the water as required, then we have a situation in our hands, flood problem come. So these are things we are proposing to do, and we are doing already. We started doing things. As I mentioned, we have started doing something in that direction. Thank you. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Perhaps we should go to Jigawa. Let's go to Jigawa again. Earlier, Hamza was telling us about what they are planning to do. And Claire did say that when we return to you, we would like you to tell us about the situation at the moment. Are the rains already coming down heavy in Jigawa? And what has that resulted in?
Following the 2024 annual flood outlook released by the Nigerian Hydrological Service NC and the seasonal climate prediction by NIMET, the government of Jigawa State, in considering the situation and devastating effect of flooding, His Excellency directed the committee to embark fully in order to see how best we can mitigate and minimize the effect of flooding. So since February this year, so that the committee survey, analyze and study the general geometry of the river system from upstream to downstream to see how best we can provide a solution in order to prevent our communities from seasonal flooding. As I told you earlier, so that we discover some challenges from the upstream because of the nature of the topography of the area and the entry point, so that the area is highly silted.
Hello, Hamza. Hamza, I'm not sure if you heard my question. I'm saying that earlier you had told us about what you are doing, but we want to know what the situation is in Jigawa at the moment. What amount of rain, what level of rainfall have you experienced in Jigawa already, and what has that resulted in? What's the situation on ground in Jigawa now?
Current situation now, the committee has already embarked on actions as prepared plan against the forthcoming flooding. So we started sensitization within the prone communities in order to engage the communities for them to work together with the government for us to prevent the expected flooding. These three measures have been taken. One is the sandbagging by the communities. Second is highly technical, working with technical committee in order to dredge the river system and to conduct embankment where possible, more especially at the critical point that we are expecting water can flow out to submerge and affect our communities. In addition, we observe some strategical analysis, more especially at the prone areas. The construction of roads at the prone areas provide a havoc in disallowing the water to flow smoothly. So that we design a model on construction roads to provide available hydraulic structures that when the flooding happens, so that the water can freely flow down without hindrance to affect our settlement. And also we are working together with state emergency management agency to provide rapid response emergency activities when deployed occurred, so that we can evacuate our communities to a safer ground in order to protect their lives and their properties. So these are part of the measures we have taken as rapid response in order to minimize the effect of flooding in Jigawa State.
You. You talked about, that you have been carrying out sensitization. And that is very good. That's part of the mitigation measures. But can you tell us, Jigawa, you said yourself, you've had devastating flood, especially to farms, houses, residents have been affected, people have died as a result. What specifically are you telling farmers and residents, those who have built along the floodplain? What is your messaging to them, so that they are better informed and aware of what to do?
So what we have done, we first conduct a stakeholder meeting together with farmers groups and the communities living at the prone areas for them to be prepared against flooding, so that any community within the prone areas, we have already conducted what we call community dike and the embankment to protect them from flooding. From the side of the farmers, we sensitize them, more especially with a report released by the NIMET on the issue of late establishment of rainfall in the state, and the early end of rain within the season. This as a result of the climate change and the variabilities, so that we encourage them to get early seedling varieties for them to cultivate and harvest their product within a limited period. And we also discuss with them and give them a light for them to prevent cultivation at the prone areas to avoid risks and the losses of the palm in produce. Yeah, so this is what part of the measures taken to advise the farmers to be free from the risks and the challenges of the losses in this direction within the farmers.
Contributions, thank you. Let's get right back here in the studio where Florence is seated with us. Now, you have talked about the preventive measures taken. You have also talked about what you do part-time, particularly when it rains. Apart from the areas you have mentioned, you mentioned Dogongada, you mentioned Trademore, Galadimawa roundabout, among all others. Which other areas, because I don't want to believe that only these four are the areas that are most prone to flooding in Abuja?
Yes, you're right, because we have locations like Giri. You recall that some 5 years ago, a family lost 4 people, a woman and her 3 children, died in Giri because they built on a waterway. And there was a heavy downpour at night that pulled down. You know that the kind of structures that they put up in this is not a legal settlement. We call it an illegal settlement because I think the indigenes of FCT then were resettled. They were relocated to another location. And that place was supposed to be like a green area. But when they moved, they sold the land to visitors, people who don't really know what happens there. So they quickly built. These are houses that they will build within 1 week or 2 weeks. They just put up the structure and they say, I have a house in Abuja. And they moved in. The foundation was not really solid. And the truth about it is that it was built on a waterway. So when there was a heavy downpour and there's a hill across the express road going towards Gwagwalada, the rain just came, the water, there was a flow from there. Flash flooding came, crossed the express road, hit on that house, and the woman was there with her 4 children. One survived, and then she died with 3 of her children. So that place is another bad place. We have succeeded in demolishing some of the houses there. We could not demolish all of them. Why? Because when development control gets there, they stone them, they attack them with weapons.
Really?
So we are still trying. We are trying to see how we can remove them completely from that place.
Are you
And the
saying
same
that
thing in
the
Angwandodo.
stones prevented government
Not
from...
stones. No. They have weapons. Not that we succeeded in demolishing the ones that were really sitting on the waterways. But remember that flooding, when it happens, it may happen here this year. Next year, it will not happen. It will move to another location. So the ones that were actually sitting on waterways, we succeeded in demolishing them. And there's free flow of water there. So now we have agreed with the traditional ruler. He has agreed that they were going to move. And that is it. So a lot of them are moving. Because the last sensitization we went there, we went there with a video clip of the family that was washed away. Some of them never believe, because some of them are even new. A lot of them moved out of that place, and new people came. So when they saw the video clips, they were weeping, and most of them have evacuated. They left that place. The same thing in Angwandodo, in Gwagwalada, that's a major bridge where we have abattoir on the right, and we have an area called Angwandodo. That place has been cleared too, and it has been actually worked on. But new people have gone back there to settle down by the river bank. We have in Kwali Area Council, houses were blown off. Erosion has eaten up to some of the houses. They moved out of the houses last year. We understood that they've gone back. So we have agreed with the federal government, because it has to do with the express road. They have agreed to work on the erosion that is eating up to the express road, and a lot of farmlands were affected. Then towards Kubwa, you recall that 2 people died in Biazi. There is a small box culvert. Buari Area Council has graciously agreed, and in fact they are already working on that box culvert to make sure they replace it with a sizable one that can contain the volume of water that we pass through there. Now let me go back to what my colleagues have said from the state, issue of agriculture and the tilting of place locations. Early warning too. You are supposed, when we go to area councils, we go to farmers, we invited them as part of our stakeholders, and we advised them, look, the prediction says the onset of the rains in the FCT is going to be in May. That is just a prediction. It could rain before May or after May. So we now quickly advise them that when it rains in February, that is immediately after the predictions. If it rains, don't rush into planting your crops. What we advised them to do was that they should get early maturing seeds, and those of them that are into Fadama farming, you can continue to avoid economic losses. Because you will plant, and if it doesn't rain after, there's a dry spell in between, your seedlings will get rotten. They will not germinate. You have to start all over again. That's part of economic losses.
Florence, let's put you on hold and call for a break. But when we come back, we'll return to Bayelsa. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria. We'll be back in just a moment. Back to the program, and it's Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service. So let me take you back to Bayelsa. And, of course, the reason is not far-fetched. Many areas in Bayelsa are vulnerable to flooding. And Kulukuma, Okpukuma, Ogbia, where the former president comes from, is one. There's also Sagbama, and there's also, I want to remember, there's also, yes, the Southern Ijo, which is, of course, all riverine. And some of these areas, Mr. Wusu, some of these areas are either because they are either low-lying, or some of them have a number of creeks, as you have indicated earlier on, or tributaries, and then others are just, the flooding is as a result of maybe heavy rain. And Ogbia is one. I remember at the time you couldn't get to Ogbia. Sometimes even houses are overtaken and all that. And the mitigation measures differ. Some will require absolute solid infrastructure that could take some time to build. But many others, like in Ogbia, these are early warning signals that are needed. So how are you channeling your measures? These are measures to prevent the state from being overrun by flood.
Yeah, like I pointed out, I continue to hammer on this. All the rivers that take this water away have their capacity, discharge capacity. That is what we call it. So if that one has been, altered one way or the other by either siltation or by weeds and so on in these rivers, there is a need to ensure that this is removed, so that intervening objects. Hello?
We are with you.
Yes. When those is I've mentioned that we have two main rivers, the non-river they are all what?
Mr. Wuso, it's unfortunately our network connection with you, it's not favorable this morning. I do hope it will get better when we return to you. I don't know if Victor has a question for Hamza, from Dudse, but I want to.
Okay, go ahead. Oh, I thought you wanted to engage her.
Okay, Florence, I was going to ask you that, fair enough, you've put in quite a lot of efforts to ensure that not just Abuja, but the whole of FCT,
yes,
you understand, does not experience, at least minimize the amount of flooding. But how do you channel the flooding? Because when you clear the drains, you clear the gutter, you distill, water, where do they go to?
Yes, thank you very much. That's part of the challenges we are facing now. We have cleared all the waterways. We have removed all obstructions. By the time you go back after 2 or 3 days, you discover that somebody who has a parcel of land that is just 1,000 square meters, he wants to have 1,500 square meters or 2,000 square meters. And he now encroaches into the river by building a retaining wall. We have to remove it again. All the water we have are channeled towards going into the river Niger. If you look at Lokogoma axis, we have about 8 tributaries that come towards the Galadima interchange. And that is why we have changed the box culverts there to sizable ones. We have larger ones now. Okay. And there's a river bridge that is being built there now, which is a long-time preventive measure that we've been working on. It's been on for the past 3 years. This is the 4th year. But by the grace of God, it's going to be completed this year, because Mr. Project, our honorable minister, is working, and he has given them a deadline. Most of the projects, both new drainages, expansion of drainages, some of them were narrow. We are expanding them. The narrow box culverts are being changed to sizable ones. And he gave them a deadline of May 29th. which we are working on. So the water is being channeled properly going to River Niger. And that is why I said earlier on that, agreed, we are at the moderate flood risks, but the surrounding states, Lokoja is not far from Abuja. So that is it. So that is why all hands are on deck. And I want you to know today that we have a platform. That long bureaucracy of things, getting things done, putting things in place is no more there, because we have a platform for all the operational departments. Like the manholes that were stolen. I don't know if you have the video clip here. We are now replacing them. When we went out on assessment and we discovered some of them that were still open, and indiscriminate dumping of refuse, blocked some of them, we quickly, just on the platform, we posted it on the platform, posted the pictures. Department of Facility Maintenance, like I said, all operational departments are on that platform. In less than 24 hours, they swung into action and they were replacing. That is it, there you have. They went round and started replacing the manholes. We are no longer trying to use the metal we are using.
Which
we are trying to
still
use concrete now, and that is it.
But there are still a lot of manholes open in the FCT.
They're working. We can't do it in a day. We can't. It's something that, as you are covering this place, you go out again, another one. Same thing with the warning signs. If you are going, I believe you are living towards Karshi side, you are living around between Karu and Jikoi, we have warning signs that we have mounted there. Scavengers scattered away with most of them. The one in Galadima interchange has been scattered away. Now we are trying to use slabs, use concrete to build them and to replace them. It's a big challenge that we are facing. Is it from people that we go back to rebuild the houses that we have pulled down, or people that are encroaching into the waterways or into rivers, building retaining walls to reduce the size of the river? That is the serious problem that we have behind trade more.
That is also a problem of enforcement.
So
yes,
we are doing that.
Yes, if people will go and build from foundation level up to completion and live there, I mean, that shows you a gap.
They pull it down. They pull it down. It has been pulled down.
But do you have to wait for a structure to, before you act?
Claire, this is a situation. That's why I call it a challenge. You are pulling down. They use Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You go back there, it has been erected again.
At night.
At night. They work throughout the night. So now we have task force. We don't call it task force. We have a tax team. It's another platform. They go around, immediately they observe anything, they post it on the platform. And we swing the appropriate department.
I believe all of this
into action.
You do would definitely require funding. So how are you collaborating with the private sector?
Thank you very much. Yes, the private sector, out of their own corporate social responsibility, there are times that we need heavy duty equipment. They provide that. Is it a building collapse or there's flooding or fire incident? They provide that for us.
On loan or permanently?
No. They just during that rescue operation.
For you to use.
Yes. So we are praying that we are going to get, well, it's not as if we are not funded, but we don't have adequate funds. We don't have adequate funds. There are so many things we want to put in place that we are waiting patiently, but we don't fold our hands.
Very few agencies have adequate funding.
Yes. That does not mean that we'll fold our hands and sit down. We improvise. What we can do without funds, we do it, and when we are adequately funded, we put a lot of things in place. That is what we are doing now. When you are working in a place that has to do with humanity, has to do with lives and properties, you need to be passionate. You need to have passion. Don't say because government has not done this, I will sit down. No. Always have a plan B and think of what you can do in order to save lives and properties. For 2 years now, there has been no loss of life in the FCT due to, say, government has not done this or that. The loss of life in 2022, there was none at all. Last year, the ones we had was due to negligence. So we are pleading with the residents of FCT to please listen to our warnings, listen to our advices, put them into practice, put the preventive measures we have introduced into practice. And when there is a heavy downpour, don't go out. Don't insist that you must pass through that road.
Okay.
The vehicles, the motorcyclists that got drowned in Biazi, people were shouting. If you have the video, you will see it. We posted it. It went viral. They were telling him, don't go, don't go. It was not because we didn't put infrastructures in place. But it was due to negligence.
Negligence. Florence, thank you.
We are pleading. And that 112 emergency number, we are pleading. Make good use of it.
112.
Yes.
We'll come back just so that we allow you to say the numbers again. But let's bring Hamza, Hamza Mohammed from our Dulce studio. Hamza, are you still with us? We all know that the cost of living now is not putting smiles on our faces. So we cannot afford, you know, to lose again, you know, the source of our food crops and all that. And you know, Dutse, Jigawa is one state that we really rely upon, you know, for some of these food items. So what are you doing, you know, to ensure that we do not experience any, you know, such impacts again on our farmlands and washing away of our food crops and all that?
As you know, Jigawa State is an agrarian state, and it is one of the major contributors in food security in Nigeria. That is the reason why the government of Jigawa State make it necessary to ensure safety on our settlements, communities, and indeed the farmers at large. So our tremendous effort in addressing the effort of flooding in order to prevent our farmers and also to encourage the farmers to cultivate more, to support the national agenda, more especially the renewed hope policy of Mr. President on providing food security in the country. The government of Jigawa State supported the farmers with a certified seed, early maturing varieties for them to cultivate all year round, both during the dry season and the rainy season, for them to provide more food for sustainable growth and development in the state and the nation at large. So this initiative of the government of Jigawa State make it necessary to see how best we can train our farmers, we can support our farmers with necessary input, and indeed the support of some token resources for them to embark fully on cultivation so that they can generate more money, and the state government will get IGR from the cultivation of crops, and the food will be available in the state and the nation at large. This is part of what the government is doing, and currently in the port, you can witness that Jigawa State, because of the interest of the governor and his political will on supporting agriculture by engaging youth to engage fully on farming, so that we observe our reserves, cleared all the reserves we have available at Padama areas, distributed it to our youth, gives them a piece of land, supported them with agricultural input, gives them the extension workers to train them on best agronomic practice for them to cultivate well in order to enhance the livelihood and to have economic benefit for the benefit of the state and nation at large. So the committee is working to ensure safety at all angles, more especially the critical point that will cause havoc in order to prevent our farmers from productive loss of agricultural product, so that we are working. Also, one thing I want you to know, issue to do with flooding in Jigawa State is not only heavy rainfall. It classified into two. Yeah, it classified into two. One, we have the upland areas that experience flooding as a result of the velocity of heavy rainfall in the state. Number two, we have two dams situated in Kano State. The releases of water from the dams, there's a mandatory release and overspilling. So we discussed jointly with the River Basin Authority so that for us to have representation in the releases at the dam, so that to manage the release of the water, to prevent overflow of the water, that is the major cause of submerging our farmland to destroy our crops. So that the River Basin agree, give us a presentation, so that we are working together hand in hand with them technically to see how best we can monitor to assess the releases of the dam all year round, to reduce the tap water inside the dam, to empty the dams before the rain established, so that when the new water came inside dam, so that it will continue flowing gradually to downstream of Jigawa State, so that we cannot experience much flooding that will devastate affect our settlement.
All right, Hamza, thank you very much for your contributions. Most of the things you have said appear to be projections, the collaboration. I have wanted to know if you can tell me that in 30 seconds, to what extent has the collaboration paid off? Are the floods no longer, whether from the dam or from rainfall, is the flooding no longer a threat to farmlands in Jigawa State?
Thank you. So our focus is to mitigate the effect of flooding across the state entirely. The opening up of the waterways, expanding the size, width, and the depth of the river system entirely, from the entry point of the state down to the downstream bordering Yobe State, so that our amphibious is working tremendously all year round, removal of all desiltation, aquatic weeds that is causing havoc in blocking the waterways, disallowing the people of the water. So now we work tremendously, we open up all the waterways so that the water is flowing smoothly, so that we believe, even if it is in the peak period of rainy season, with this development of continuous flow of the water from the sources, that is the dam, and in addition to the high level of rainfall when it occurs, so that, and the intervention given by the state government in construction the hydraulic structures, culverts at the urban areas, and the preventing people from cultivation nearest to the river bank, because we have what we call river buffers area of about 200 to 250 meters away from the river bank. So it's not cultivable area, so that anybody cultivate, so that we can sue him to court, we can prevent him from cultivation in case of any intervention when it in a court, so that we can emerge directly on emergency to prevent or to block such area that is threat to provide flooding in the state, so that we are working to see how best we can minimize the effect of flooding by such actions proactively, to ensure our farmers cultivate safely and get higher yield for the betterment of economic growth and development of our dear state, and to support the national agenda on agricultural policy of food security to ensure sustainable growth and economic development in the country.
Thank you, Hamza. Let's quickly take just 60 seconds input from Mr. Omuso in Bayelsa. Mr. Muso, from all that you have told us, should we take it that Bayelsa would probably, breathe a sigh of, relief from 2024 flood prediction?
Indeed, if the measures we have put in place, we carry them through, I think Bayelsa will be safe. Will be safe. Thank you.
Carry through. If you don't carry it through, then you know you don't have results. So you should tell us if you will carry it through.
Oh yeah, in fact, last year we did something. In fact, the time we came on board was a short period, but we did certain things that people really saw that there's a difference between what it was in 2022. 2022 was a historic flood, but the 2024, I mean, it's not one of those that is a flood, but we are able to do something to at least take care of flood that disturbs in Abuja and some of the cities by the measures that we put in.
Well,
thank you.
Yes, we will do that quickly. Let's take Florence final comment. So you wanted to chip in earlier on about
the food security.
Yes.
Yes, in terms of food security, in the FCT, what we did was, in collaboration with the Department of Agriculture and National Orientation, we went out on sensitization, and we tried to make farmers understand that we have two types of flooding, major flooding. It's either the river flooding or flash flooding. And those of them that have farms by the river banks or farms that are around flood-prone locations, we advise them on the farm produce to plant at such locations. You could farm rice, sugarcane, plantain, banana, and all that. So that is it about the food security. We try to advise them accordingly.
Just a final word from you.
Then my final words are this. The challenges we have, people should please stop building on waterways, stop indiscriminate dumping of refuse, stop stealing of manholes, drainages, and stop driving on flowing waters.
All right, Florence, when again,
And they should always remember to call 112. Then disaster marshals, they should please respect our disaster marshals, volunteers, local divers, and vanguards that we have put in place.
All right, thank you very much. We've run out of time completely. Florence Wenegeme, Director, Forecasting, Response and Mitigation, FCT Emergency Management Agency, FEMA. Welcome to Good Morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having
Nigeria.
me. Thank you.
And from our Dutse studio, we had Hamza Muhammad Hadejia, Chairman, Technical Committee on Flood Mitigation and Special Assistant to the Governor of Jigawa State on Flood Mitigation. It was a pleasure having you on Good Morning Nigeria. And then from Bayelsa State, via Zoom, Surveyor Omuso, who is Director General, Directorate of Flood and Erosion Control. We thank you for your contributions to the program. And that's Good Morning Nigeria for today. We thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow. I am Victor Azo.
And I'm Claire Adelabu. We do appreciate your time to join us. And we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye now.